Greetings, programs. This is Wretch, and welcome back to another day of Minecraft. Now, in the last episode, we got a little bit of stuff done on the castle. We got the flooring done. We were kind of limited by the amount of cobble that we had. However, I can say that we do not have to worry about that. At least for the foreseeable future. I'm on a coal hunting expedition, and I really need to repair my diamond pick because it is about to go boom. So, fortunately, we're getting about 15 coal per vein here. And after we get the coal that we need for the furnaces, we should be able to head home. Camp's just right over there. You can see the circular tower there in the distance. Just trying to mine the surface of everything that I can first before I'm actually forced to go underground for coal. Especially since we're in an extreme hills biome where everything's just kind of exposed. Wouldn't make a whole lot of sense in my mind. Ooh. Alright, 38 coal. I keep on. It's like, okay, that's good. And then I see another little vein. And I want to keep on going. That should be good, I think. Oh, I see more coal. This is going to be the... This is how my pick dies. I don't think so. It's unbreaking, so we got plenty of gas left in the tank here. At least for a few veins of coal. Hope you guys all had an awesome 4th of July. My 4th of July was actually very nice, very subdued. I'm not actually a big fan of fireworks. Not for any particular reason. I'm just kind of like, meh. They don't really interest me anymore. I mean, obviously they do when you're a kid because of boom, but even like when I was a teenager, fireworks, I liked fireworks because it was a family function, and I wasn't able to do anything with my family this year, so it was just kind of meh. But otherwise, a very, very good 4th of July. No boom. Actually, there was no boom in general. I was really surprised because I live in a small town in West Texas, or a small city, and we hardly heard any fireworks go off over the course of the night, which is very surprising. And as you can see, I extended the amount of furnaces. We have 14 furnaces. I need every single one. And I'm going to go ahead and get you out of the way because you're going to drive some of the viewers crazy. And me too, let's be honest here. Ooh, as you can see, I still have a lot of cobble in my inventory. And those furnaces are full to capacity. So we are definitely going to get some stuff done on the castle today. No doubt. Oh, are these ones done? Or do they need... Ooh, they're done with 1 coal to spare. Cool, so that means that these guys should be finishing up. Let's go ahead and wait, and then fill up the inventory with tons of sweet, sweet stone that we can then turn into bricks and whatever other materials that we need for our glorious purpose. But I had my friend Orgy and Sadist from Magic Dream Creations, along with another friend of ours who plays in the LARP. We all just came over to my place, and we went to the Rook, which is the little gaming shack I have in my backyard. And we played, oh, what did we play? We played Boss Monster, the actual legit, or not the legit, because the online version's legit, but the actual card game itself, which I think is a little bit better than the video game. And then we played, what was it, Lords of Blackwater? Or Lords of Waterdeep, which is a D&D worker placement game. And I'm not too big on worker placement board games. I think they can be quite boring, but Lords of Waterdeep was actually very good. It surprised me, actually, in how good it was. So if you guys get a chance to check out that board game, please do. I'm a really big fan of board games. I have a pretty big collection of board games, actually. I've been meaning to post a picture of my board game collection on Twitter and Facebook for all those curious. But we had our dogs in the backyard. We had the door open to the rook while we were playing, and there was hardly any boom. It was that weird kind of off-putting silence, like we're in West Texas in the 4th of July, and we are not hearing fireworks. Like something's wrong. Like kind of like The Rapture or The Last of Us or something was going down. But no, it was just quiet. And the thing I think that surprised us the most is we live about a mile or two away from a minor baseball team stadium. The Midland Rockhounds. I don't know if they're AAA. I don't really pay attention to baseball, but they're owned by the Oakland Athletics. I know that as much. But they usually have a huge fireworks show for their July 4th baseball game, and there was just nothing to be had. All right. Well, first off, I'm going to do enchanting a little bit later. Before I forget, let's go ahead and repair the diamond pick. Because if I hear that break, I'm going to be a sad panda, and I have no one to blame but myself. Alrighty. So let's get a few diamonds here. Break one of our blocks. My iron armor's starting to get a little wonky as well. Okay, so let's go first off with 1, 2, 3, enchantment cost of 4, so probably enchantment cost of 5 to bring it back up with a unbreaking 3. I'll take that. Indeed. And the anvil is still in good shape. We'll just leave those there, and we'll switch over to the iron pick for the process of building up these walls here. So not too bad. I've been feeding the livestock, so we'll be able to get some cows slaughtered, and as you can see, the reed farm is in good shape. So once we actually get to the business of making books, all will be well. And also, ooh, okay, we'll grab you, and yeah, why not? So speaking of Sadist, she was awesome and she got a Redbubble account, and for those of you guys who don't know what Redbubble is, it's this really cool service in which you can upload your artwork or designs and such, and basically, I completely muncing this up, wasn't even paying attention. And you can sell merchandise based off that. And Sadis, as I said before in the vlog from KoyaCon, and I think otherwise, she is an amazing artist. So she started to sell her stuff on Redbubble, and she made a design for me for a Wretch Plays t-shirt. Like, don't get me wrong, this isn't a delusion of grandeur kind of thing. I know I'm not big enough to sell a lot of t-shirts. I'll be lucky, or I'll be fortunate and very grateful if I sell a few. But I like to have it available for those who actually would be interested in it. So, bleh. But it's a really cool design. It's my little Jack of Blades Shy Guy avatar holding up an SNES controller, a la Legend of Zelda. And I think it looks really cool. And it's on Redbubble. I'll link it down. I'll probably link it down in all of the descriptions for my videos from here on in, just so people have the opportunity. And check it out. Sadis did an amazing job and generously donated that design for me to sell. So, good times. Now we're going to be able to get a lot of this wall built up. I don't know about, let's just for the sake of argument, put that right there. Ah, I'm losing all the bricks. That way we can put ladders and whatnot so we don't have to worry about that later. Or let's let's light it up, and then we can worry about that when the time comes. Let's keep going. And we have a very serious fall here. Do I have any ladders? No. Of course I don't. But those board games were very, very fun. And board games, if I wasn't doing this, I'd probably be playing board games a lot. Because that became a huge hobby of mine. Because when you grow up alone, or, you know, not a whole lot of friends, board games don't really pop into your life a whole lot. And family board games are usually limited, at least they were back in the day, like back when I was a kid, to Monopoly, Clue, Parcheesi, you know, the classic games that, quite frankly, a lot of families don't have time to play. And when I got in with this group of friends and I also started watching Tabletop on the Geek and Sundry network, and saw how much I had no idea that board games had evolved so much compared to when I was younger. Or I think board games may have always been like that. It's just I wasn't privy to it. But I jumped in head first, and I have about, and this includes card games too. I'm painting this with a broad brush here. But I have, I think they're about 65 board and card games in the Rook. I'm actually going to have to count that. After I'm done recording this and take care of a few errands, I think I'm going to go into the Rook and start counting down all the games I have. But it has been a joy. And I can't say that I have a favorite game. Now, I really need to be paying attention to how many levels I have here. That looks like 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Cool. Then we can put the roof on the next level. Can't say I have a favorite one. I have a lot of favorites in genres, but I can't narrow it down. I love the Game of Thrones board game, the second edition. I think that is a joy, and I love playing it with Game of Thrones fans. And honestly, the game is kind of epic in scope enough that people who aren't Game of Thrones fans can play it and get just as much pleasure out of playing it. So 1, 2, 3, yeah. Fortune and Glory is a really big one. I have to say the pride of my collection, the one that I got just, I went a little bit crazy, is Fantasy Flight Games, which is one of my favorite board game studios. They had a game called Fury of Dracula, and it was an old game, and they re-released it, and it is an extremely fun game. However, they were able to do one release of it, and then something, I don't know what had happened, but something went down with like the rights to the game or the people who created the game or some snafu, and now Fantasy Flight can't release it anymore, despite the fact that I think they own the rights to the game. They cannot publish anymore whatsoever. And one of my friends actually knows someone who works at Fantasy Flight. He used to live in Tennessee, and he was telling me that he talked to the guy because we had a conversation about, man, it'd be cool to get this Fury of Dracula game, and there was no chance. Like, the guy, his friend apparently told him, like, we're never publishing that game. We basically own the rights. It's just kind of having to sit there shelved, and they didn't think that they're ever going to, publish it again. Now watch the second that I say something, it gets resolved and then it gets published. But so we were kind of bummed about that, and then I was on Amazon one day and I found a copy of Fury of Dracula unopened for about $150. That was like, I think about $125. And I looked at it, and most board games these days, like a decent sized big box game will run you up anywhere from about $30 to $60. They're not big box, but a decent sized board game will run you anywhere from $30 to $60. And I just figured, why not? And spent it and got it. And now if you go online, it depends on availability whenever one pops up, but I've seen it on Amazon go for 350. The highest I saw it, I think, was around 500. But it's pretty much a collector's item now. And I'm not one of those people that when I buy something, I keep it in the package. It's just not how I operate. And maybe with action figures and stuff. With board games, no. Board games are meant to play. So we played Fury of Dracula, and that game was just as good as I had hoped it was going to be. I have a blast playing that game. Essentially what the game is, that's the inside of the tower, right? Yes, it is. Basically what it is, it's a sequel to the Dracula book. Dracula did not die all the way in basically the courtyard of Castle Dracula. He comes back from the dead, and the first thing that he does, and there's a little storyline behind the game, the first thing that he does is he resurrects Quincy Morris, who was the Texan who basically was crucial in Dracula dying. And he raises him as a ghoul, kind of like this undead minion. And Dracula, I don't know if he actually goes to London or if he just uses his full power. You know, it goes into his final form. But he takes over Jonathan Harker mentally and has Jonathan Harker assault and injure. They never state how much in terms of injury, but injures Jonathan and Mina's child that they had just had. Or I don't know if it was just had, but Mina and Jonathan had a child, as you would assume that they would. And Jonathan, under Dracula's mind control, hurts this child. And Jonathan stays at home to nurse the child and basically protect the home front, while Mina, Mina Van Helsing, obviously, and two other people, I don't remember. They're from there was the doctor at the asylum, at Renfield's asylum, and one other person. He's a lord. And they all go out and have to cross Europe to kill Dracula. It's a cat and mouse game is how the mechanics of the game work. Dracula is running all around the map of Europe, and there's all kinds of cities and places that he can go. The players do not know where he is, but they can try and track him down. The purpose of the game is he has to create 6 vampires, and there's cards that let him do this over time. Essentially, if his victory track gets to a certain point, he wins, or the hunters have to kill Dracula. That is the only way that the hunters can win, is if Dracula is defeated once and for all. You know, actually, we have space here to make another door if we so wish. Let's go ahead and just build up the wall, and we can knock the wall out if possible. But it's really fun. And if they do catch Dracula, they have to fight Dracula. And Dracula has all kinds of cool powers. And the hunters have a ton of advantages as well. But every city that the Dracula character moves to, he leaves an encounter. Which means that when a hunter lands on a city that Dracula has been, if he gets an encounter... Now, the encounter can be anything from, hey, there's some fog that keeps you there that turn, to, oh, here's some angry gypsies in Dracula's service who want to try and kill you. The hunters have to go through that, but they know that Dracula has been there, so they can mark that and then look around for another place and another. So the team and the hunters have to work together. If they don't work together, it's a done deal. Dracula has already won the day. But that's probably, if I had to choose, my favorite. It's definitely the one that the game I am the most proud of owning. I've got the normal stuff like Ticket to Ride, and I own Munchkin. I didn't buy Munchkin. It was thrust upon me. Not actually a big fan of Munchkin. I will play it, but it's not a game that I would go out of my way to suggest playing. I think ooh. Oh, I thought this was dirt. That's actually the trapdoors I set. I think that Boss Monster is a much better card game than Munchkin, mechanic-wise. And I'm a big fan of Steve Jackson games. It's just one of my friends brought something up to me regarding Munchkin. And for those of you guys who played Munchkin, maybe you can think about this or confirm or deny. But the second person to hit 10 wins. Or the second person to hit 9 wins. And what I mean by that is, for those of you who don't play Munchkin, it's essentially a dungeon crawl card game where the goal is to get to level 10 before anyone else. And if you get to level 10, you win. What normally happens in games, and I thought about this and my friend was absolutely correct, the first person who gets close to level 10, all the other players gang up on, and they basically just throw all of their cards and destroy the person who's getting close, and whoever is in second place, that's the person who wins. And I've seen that a lot. Now, obviously, there's times where that doesn't happen based on tactics and situations and whatnot, but that's kind of how it normally runs. And sometimes, like, not even player tactics can prevent that from happening. Boss Monster, I've seen, is an interesting game because players, by the nature of the game, do have to screw over the other players, but that is at times not nearly, it's not the last of a player's problems, because I've won games of Boss Monster where I literally just sat there and built my dungeon and neutraled myself so heroes never came to me, and all the heroes would just sit there and zerg other people's bases and kill them. You don't have to get the 10 gems to win, you just have to make sure that you're the last monster standing. And we are getting a lot of the tower built today. Awesome. Or a lot of the castle built. And actually... oh, that's the gate tower. Sorry, I was just like, wait a minute. I'm gotta get all the towers up to about that height. So, good stuff. I got a lot more brick. Holy crap. I basically filled my inventory with cobble and then headed back and started recording like right afterwards. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Wow. I'm getting 2 full floors done this episode. That is awesome. Oh, I went another full rotation, didn't I? Got all kinds of distracted. But Lords of Waterdeep, really good worker placement game. And it makes sense that it's a worker placement game, because you're essentially... the game runs, for those who haven't played Lords of Waterdeep, is if you've ever played D&D, you usually have a patron who sends you, like, you know, the town needs you, fair heroes, go forth and take on these goblins, or whatever. You're essentially playing that guy, and there's multiple versions of that guy in the town of Waterdeep, various lords and patrons, and you have to... I'm going to go ahead and finish this up here so we don't have to come back to it. You're the one basically getting the quests and gathering heroes and putting them in certain spots at certain times and recruiting so they can go and run these quests for you. So, it was a really cool premise, I thought. Especially after playing, and it's done almost to perfection. And speaking of, like, because Boss Monster did have that online version, or the digital version, which is fun, but I don't think can hold a candle. You also have Lords of Waterdeep would be an amazing board game to switch over to a digital, to a like a full, kind of like a Talisman. And, oh, what was the other one? Sentinels of the Multiverse and other games, board game adaptations I've done on the channel. I think Lords of Waterdeep would be right up there with some of the best. Because it's very easy. It's kind of intimidating to look at first, especially if you're not a fan of worker placement games. But once you get the hang of it, it is easy mode. easy mode, but it has so much depth in terms of tactics. I just have a ball playing it. I can't sing its praises enough. 2, 3, 4. Now we put the roof on. And I think that will do us for today. So, we'll get through. This is level 5. Yes, it is. Okay. Good. Let's make sure before I committed to anything. So, off topic on board games and such, I did one of those. I don't know why I do it. I do all those occasionally do those Facebook personality quizzes, which I know are all rubbish for the most part. But it was what version of the Doctor you are from Doctor Who, and I got the 9th Doctor. Most people get like Tom Baker or stuff because he's the most popular Doctor, but I got Christopher Eccleston, which I am okay with because he was one of my favorites. I thought it was a travesty that he only did 1 season, but he didn't get along with producers, so that's just one of those things, and no one can fault him for it, really. Last thing I think a lot of us can probably sympathize with him on, you don't want to work at a place with people that you don't get along with. Sometimes you have to suck it up, but if you don't have to, if you have like the freedom of an actor to kind of work where you want to, yeah, absolutely. Even if it's an iconic role. Now, that's something that Christopher Eccleston will probably regret later in his life, or he may not. But the 9th Doctor definitely has a place in 1, 2, 3. Definitely has a place in my mind because he was I had glazed over the original Doctor Who's when they would come on PBS here in the States. So I wasn't really a fan of Doctor Who because I didn't really know what it was about. And then I sat down and started watching the new series with Christopher Eccleston, the revamp, the new Who, and he was probably one of the reasons that I stayed, is because his character was so different than anything I had seen before. And I wish him all the best. He played Destro in G.I. Joe. I can forgive him for that. He was a decent character. It was the rest of the movie that was crap, and I think I talked about that last time. But he was also the lead Dark Elf in Thor Dark World, which I don't even remember a whole lot of Thor Dark World, to be completely honest. I did watch it, but I really liked the first movie. The second movie, I think, just kind of... It wasn't bad, because I don't have any negative memories of it, but it's just kind of floating there in the ether of my mind. Because I remember red ribbons of stuff, and dark elves, and that was about it. Or Drow. But he always plays an interesting character, no matter what. So check out Christopher Eccleston's work if you have a chance. And bam. Well, that's 2 floors of the tower done today, and we're starting to get past the... Hello, zombie down there in the bowels of the building. Hey there, buddy. Let's have a little bit of death and destruction to close the episode today. There we go. So we're getting past the gate, and then we can start building the wall up, and we will be... Everything is awesome, as they say. But we'll go ahead and end it here. I hope you guys have enjoyed it. If you liked the video, go ahead and click like down below. Subscribe to the channel. Leave a comment. That'd be a big help. And we'll see you next time. Later days, everyone.